Hello guys, welcome back to CLATapult. I have Dhrishit Dasgupta with me here. Hi Dhrishit,
Hello,
how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
And congratulations on your good score.
Thank you so much.
So why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Dhrishit Dasgupta. I studied from Don Bosco School Park Circus and my score was 95.75 and rank was 486 at CLAT.
And what made you choose law?
I think my selection of law is down to some very basic factors. Most people have a very philosophical answer to give, but I think it's because I'm good at arguing and making a point, and I thought the easiest way and the most interesting way to monetize that would be through law.
Yeah, definitely. And now that your first allotment list is out, which college have you been allotted? And was that your first preference?
I've been allotted NUJS as my college. I wouldn't say it was my first preference because my first preference was always whichever college I get. As in, the bar was always set wherever, however high I can reach it, not set at a certain college, I'd say.
But you must have had one in mind, that is your dream college.
I mean, I guess everyone dreams of getting into NLSIU, so I'm no different.
Okay. Coming to your CLAT preparation strategy, when did you start preparing for it?
Technically, I started preparing since the midway through my class 11, but I don't think we should count that 6 months because I don't think I prepared it as much as a person who was aspiring to give CLAT would. I mean, it wasn't much really. So I think I'd say the day after I gave CLAT for the first time in class 11 as my first attempt was the day I really started taking it seriously and when my prep really started properly.
Okay. And what was your daily schedule like? Was it a fixed routine or was it a flexible preparation?
Me personally, I kept my routine pretty fixed, as in I kept a certain goals which I need to complete by the end of the day. If it was a sectional of a certain subject or whatever I chose for myself, but which sectional I gave, I didn't go into that much detail. I just saw which one would be most convenient to give, and I thought, okay, I'll give one English sectional, one logic, and one maths, and I chose three accordingly, and I did it for the day. But I kept mine pretty rigid, I'd say, by most people's standards.
Okay. And during your preparation, which section did you find most challenging and how did you overcome that?
I think at first the most challenging section of CLAT for me was logical reasoning. I think because it takes a lot of practice and a lot of natural ability as well, which I didn't have or still don't have. So I think primarily the most work I put in was towards logical reasoning, but towards the end I feel I understood how important maths is, and I also contributed a lot of time to maths.
And how did you handle getting low scores? How did you keep yourself motivated through that?
I think getting low scores is an indication of a few things. One being that the paper itself was tough. I mean, if the score which is low is not a occurring thing, but something out of the blue, which suddenly is much lower than you usually get or expect, I think firstly the paper was tough. Secondly, maybe you went in the right state of mind that day, but it's important to analyze where you went wrong. And that's how I came to understand by analyzing my scores that my logical reasoning really needed some work, and that's how I was able to correct that mistake overall. But low scores, I think, are a part. I mean, you can't expect to be the best every single time. That goes for CLAT as well, the real exam. I mean, you might know someone who you might have some opinion about, and you might expect them to get less than you. But if for some reason they get more than you, score wise or rank wise, it's not really something which you should be too concerned about because, I mean, good for them. But as long as you reach the goal you wanted to, that should not be in your mind. It's difficult to do, and I'm struggling with it as well, but it's something we have to accept.
Yeah, that is true. And this should be inspiring for all the other students who are preparing.
I hope so.
Coming to the day of your exam, how was your experience? Was there any shock? And how did you deal with all that stress?
For a lot of people, I think they stuck to what the consortium website said very rigidly, which specifically stated that there would be no analytical reasoning and critical reasoning only. And based on last year's paper, where the main mistakes in the paper were in analytical reasoning, everyone treated it like a board paper. Like if you try to predict the questions, which is why people thought that since last year the analytical reasoning was the main problem causing section, and since the consortium said it won't come, that is the one section I should not practice and I should just leave. But just to prove us wrong, I guess CLAT gave the logical reasoning section almost entirely analytical reasoning. So me, thankfully, I took that information with a grain of salt, and I thought that I really shouldn't trust this, as in they've proved us wrong before. So I practiced everything that comes along with it, and so when I saw that there are mainly analytical reasoning questions, to be honest, the feeling was kind of giddy or happy, because I thought that there goes my competition, because I've prepared for this and I know that several people haven't, and I guess that gives me an advantage. So I think, yeah, I think everyone needs to prepare holistically, and if you just try to narrow down the questions and the odds and cherry pick what you will attempt and what you want to do, it really won't work out.
That is true. That was a wise decision on your part.
I think so.
And how much did mocks help you during your preparation?
I think mocks were really helpful during prep, because after a point, sectionals don't really make sense. It's good to do them in the initial stage and really beef up and protect the sections which you think you're weak in. But after you're done with that, you need to start dealing with the pressure of giving a mock. And it's important that you treat every mock like the day of CLAT itself. Every mock you give should have the same pressure, and you should take it with the same stride and effort that I need to get rank 1 in this, I need to get rank 1 in this, I need to get rank 1 in this. Even though it doesn't work out, that's the mentality that you should have.
If someone is starting their CLAT preparation now, what would be your top 3 suggestions to them?
It's difficult to quantify into top 3, but based on the type of people who give CLAT over the last few years, I think primarily they really need to work on maths. Lots of people have given CLAT who I know have given CLAT and were very bad at maths, and in fact, that was a reason why they chose CLAT. But quite frankly, the basic requirement of maths is definitely needed. If you're not at least a tad bit good in it, it's going to be a problem. That's one. Two, I think learn how to do GK. It takes time. It's not just reading whatever you find and instilling it in your brain. There's a lot of useless information out there. And I learned that the hard way. I tried to do GK by reading newspapers every day. And quite frankly, that was a waste of time, because there was a lot of extra information which I didn't need. It didn't really come to the point of exactly the information which you need, and plus, it's a very recent occurrence of events which are shown in the newspapers. But when an event occurs, you really need to trace back its history.
Yeah.
And see what questions can be asked from before the event happened. So that's one. I think you need to learn how to do GK, and there's a difficult pathway to doing that. And thirdly, I think would be identifying what you're good at between English, legal, and logic. A lot of people, I think English is safe for a lot of people, but between legal and logic, it's a throw up between who's better at what. I was better at legal, as I said, and I was bad at logic, and I really worked a lot to prevent that and to make that stronger. So I think that is very required, as in identify where your weaknesses are and work on them early on, and don't delude yourself into thinking you're good at something or you're bad at something if you're not.
So, would you not say that, like you said, for GK, reading newspapers did not help for you, but did it help you increase your reading speed or comprehension ability?
I think personally my reading speed and comprehension ability was pretty well established before I gave CLAT, because I read a lot of books, not just informational books, story books, whatever. It's a habit. So I think that part was an innate advantage which I had when I gave CLAT. But yeah, I guess for people who don't have that, who don't have a regular reading habit, who aren't in the habit of reading a lot of books, I think it will help, but after a point they should stop, no matter how bad they are, um, because after a point newspapers do not give you enough information or the correct information to help you.
Okay.
So you need to move towards compendiums of GK or websites, but I think newspapers have a expiry date on them.
Okay, so at the end of the preparation, moving toward compendium is a good idea. That is what you're trying to say.
I think so.
Okay, so coming to your future, what are your future career goals after entering law school?
Right now, in the immediate future, I'd say winning a few moot courts and doing some good internships. But after law school, um, I guess it depends on the opportunities that come. It can very easily change. I mean, our perception of law school and law is based a lot upon things which are what the media tells us, shows, whatnot, movies. So most of them aren't realistic. And I think it depends on what opportunities come my way, but I think I'd prefer to be involved in sports in some way or the other through law.
And any message which you would like to share to the ones who have not gotten the score they were expecting and they are disheartened by it? So, any message for them?
I think it's important for everyone to understand that even I'm one of those people. Based on the fact that this year's paper was more difficult than last year's, and that my score was good enough to get into NLS last year, I thought that this year would be somewhat safe. I knew that there are some very competitive people out there, and I thought that maybe even if I don't get into NLS, I'll get into NASA in the top 20. That's not how it worked out. And there are a lot of people out there who are dealing with things in their own way. I mean, I know a person who got more than 100 and thought that they're going to show a shot NLS, but they're having to go to Nalsar. So even though that sounds like a very ideal situation to a lot of people out there, that oh, this guy doesn't get NLS but he's going to Nalsar, but for that person, for him it's difficult to comprehend because he had his sights set on something and he thought he'd accomplished it, and it got taken away from him. So everyone who hasn't got the scores which they wanted, I think you have to understand that all of us are those people, and it's gone badly for everyone. I'm thankful that the disparity in ranks and scores hasn't affected my score or rank too much, and I'm still going to a good law school. But yeah, I mean, what's happened this year is a statistical impossibility, and you can't really blame yourself for that. You can see where you can improve. I don't have the time to do that. A lot of people who gave it this time in class 11, they do. They really need to learn from it. I wish I had a bit more time. Maybe if I could rewind a bit and maybe do a bit more here and there, maybe do a bit more maths, bit more GK. But it's all speculative. But for the people who it isn't speculative, they just need to move on from this. I'm trying, they need to try
I'm
it.
sure you'll do well in life, even though you did not get what you wanted, but you'll still do well in life.
I hope so. I mean, I hope this isn't an indication for much to come.
And lastly, would you like to share how has CLATapult helped you throughout your journey, your mentors, teachers, how have they contributed?
I think CLATapult has really helped build up the basics of through which I gave CLAT. I mean, some of the strategies which were given to me, I used them even on the day of CLAT, even though I learned that maybe 6 months before. And although they aren't foolproof, of course, because no strategy is, but it's important to learn the basics and make them strong so that when you appear for the exam, you know exactly what to avoid, exactly what to go for. And yeah, I think Catapult really does help in that, and it also makes a competitive environment. I mean, there's a lot of students who attempt mocks here, 200, more than 200, which is more than a lot of centers can say. I think it gives a good basis to understand how well you're doing based on your peers. So in those two ways, I do think it helps a lot.
Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.